Hello and welcome back to the worst Warmachine channel on the internet. I'm Dorian, and this is another Warmachine battle report. Now, I went out to my patrons, I asked them what they want me to play, and they asked for some janky Signar, so I'm bringing it. Now, you might have seen that from the title of this video, it's talking about how I am using the best 13-point model from the game. Now, I believe that lots of people, and in fact I did a poll on this, if I was to ask what was the best 13-point model in the game, you would say something like the Toro. The Toro is a very classic one. The new one that's really rising up and looking very powerful is also the Suppressor. But you know, I'm a guy that spams things. So I don't mean like one Suppressor. I mean, if you're going to spam lots of things that are 13 points, what would you take? And one of the things that got almost no votes whatsoever is the Reliant. And I feel that this is a jack that people are sleeping on. They should be buying these up. Now, here's the reason why I love the Reliant right now. The reason why I think it's the best one is that it used to be garbage, right? It used to be 14 points. You get some silly little lightning shot. It wasn't really worth it. However, now what you're getting is actually, well, it's 13 points. Okay, that's 1 point. That's something. But the other piece here as well is it also got accumulator, and that is massive, right? For anyone looking to spam lots of jacks, it can get tough, right? You just don't have the focus to make it work. But accumulator, oh, wow, that is amazing and helps so much. Also, when it comes to Storm Division, remember that there is now the leader for the Storm Guard that has a shot that makes your lightning damage get +2. So that means that this also stacks with your Firefly. So their POW 13 guns go up to 15, which goes up to 17. That's right, every single one of these Reliants has the damage output of a Storm Strider, which I think is amazing. Now, who am I going to be running this with? Well, I'm going to be running it with Sloan. I want to be getting in as many of these shots as possible. I'm sure you could also make an argument for someone like Nemo or something like that, but I think this would be a great way to be reinventing the way we're going to be playing Sloan, and I'll talk about this in a second. Now, for starters, I want to talk about how I did a poll out here. I did a poll in the Signar group, and I was like, hey, what do you guys like running on your Sloan list now? And I got a whole bunch of like, oh, grumble, no, we don't play Sloan. Pretty much as soon as Infernals stole her, Signar doesn't play Sloan anymore. It's a feel bad, right? Over there on the Infernal, it's so much better. Why would you be playing Sloan here? Now, when I asked the same question on the Infernal side, yeah, I got my brother in there trying to troll me. I see ya. But the other big thing here was that, oh, well, you know, we're going to be still doing our old ways of doing all the hunters. Now, I want you to think about, why do people like Sloan so much more in Infernals than they do in Signar? And it is accumulator. The fact that you have accumulator soulless means that you can just have a couple of things out there, and all of those hunters are now getting 2 focus for free. You now don't have to allocate anything. You could be putting something into, let's say, you know, a guided fire, and now they have the automatically boosted a hit. You have your focus for boosting your damage. Win-win. Now, here is the problem that I think that there is currently with this accumulator hunters, which, by the way, you know, hopefully you realize that we have another accumulator there in Reliance now, so it's the same thing that people love. The problem with the hunters is that if they get up to you, well, you're done, right? Like, hunters cannot defend themselves in combat. As well, there's a lot of things out there that are giving bonuses to your armor, and that's not what the hunters want to see, because you have to armor and then add on those bonuses. So those armor piercing 6s aren't doing what they used to do. Things are a lot faster now. If they can just stall your shooting for a turn, it is game over. And that could be like some failed experiments running to your face. Whatever it is, it's really bad. So what if you took a combat shooty list? So let's look at my list here with Sloan. So what I'm doing here is I am taking a whole bunch of Reliants, 5 of them, and then also a Stormclad, which I'll talk about in a second. So the idea here is that I have the accumulator, which I'll have from the Storm Guard underneath, which you can see down there. And so, yeah, same thing. When it comes to shooty feet turn, I can be blasting into you, take off a couple of heavies, loving life. Once it's time to actually fight, well, all these jacks are going to get a free focus. They're also going to get accumulator. I could always allocate one more as well, so I can be running all of these at fully functional 3 focus, let's do this, hammers out, let's fight it. And as well with that, the Stormclad is in there to hit just a little bit harder. Yes, I have the Ragman in there so that the POW 17s become 19s, but what's even better than that is having something that threats a little bit further, hits a little bit harder, and that's the Stormclad. And one of the things that people don't realize that Sloane has that she brings to the table is refuge. Normally, you might see refuge if she can afford the focus on herself so she can take a shot and then hide, but in this case, it's going to go on that Stormclad, which again, its gun is serious business. It starts at POW 14, so actually stronger than the Reliance, and it can get some work done. And so in this case, it can zip in there as your elite jack, hitting at POW 21, and then after, refuge back, and be able to do it again. So I am really excited for this list. This is something that I've been playing for a while, and I can't wait to play in this game. In fact, I'm doing this all because I love this jank, and I want to share it because I think people really should be thinking about this and trying to play it. Alright, so who I was playing into was my buddy Paul, and he dropped Kruger 2. Now, as soon as I saw Kruger 2, I already knew I was in trouble because he has the spell where all my stuff is -5 range. Now, that's gonna hurt, but it's not the end of the world, right? I also have Fire Group. I can be adding to range. Normally my 10 goes up to 12, -5 is 7. It still means I can be in a spot where I can step up and shoot off 2 of the heavies. So the list here is you know, a good mix of different things. I would love to be shooting off Malvin and Mayhem, but yeah, I'm thinking this will be okay. So before we get into actual deployment, just something on some proxies. I don't own 5 Reliants. I mean, that's the thing. Like, nobody owns them. I own 1 because I'm an idiot and I'm a completionist and I just bought one before. So I'm testing this out. So if you see some defenders down there, yeah, those are going to be my Reliants. The other thing here too, standing here along beside Sloane, is going to be, I also don't have a Gwen Keller. That's the one that came in that special box. I did not buy that one. What was it? I can't remember what it was called, Iron Company or something. They're going to be coming out with a new model. I don't have it yet, so if you see the dismount from the Cav model from the Storm Knights, yeah, that's going to be my Gwen Keller. Alright, so looking into the deployment here, he won the role to go first. That's not the best, but it's okay. I had to pick which side to take, and I was presented with 2 awful options. One, I could give him the side that I gave him over there, and then there's this perfect forest for Kruger to hide behind. Now, I also love this, that I don't have to worry about Kruger shooting me because I'm immune to his lightning. But yeah, Kruger could go in there, do whatever fancy stuff, TK back behind. That's a nasty spot for me to give him. However, I feel that one of my best win conditions in the long run against this player might also be scenario going to clock type thing, and so I need to contest the best I can. Again, because this is Kruger, and I have to make sure that I can contest these types of things and go to clock. And so the reason why I took the side I was on is that building on the far right and the fact that I can run a solo right there in that little thing there. And sure, he'd have the feat that he can go and push me out once, but it's going to be very hard for him to stop me from contesting this. So yeah, looking at this, I am expecting him to run up. I'm going to set up myself and then we'll feat and see what happens. We'll have to grind this one out. Alright, so on his first turn, that's basically what he does. The well doesn't bring in anything yet. You can see that the Bellows crew are actually coming over here to try and score the right zone. That's fantastic. You know, if they would have been on the other side, that was going to be a hard one for me to contest because I can stand there on this side of the forest, but that's not really that hidden. So I love that he's going to score on that right side. I'm going to have to go and do that. I'm also going to have to worry about like that Death Archon hunting down Savio, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Otherwise, yeah, I pretty much have that. I'm going to run up, try and stay out of his ranges, and that's that. Now, I said I was going to move up and stay out of the ranges, but I want to explain something that Sloan did here. So Sloan moved up. I know I put out my refuge onto the Stormclad, and then I realized, like, oh, I'm actually just out of range of shooting his Malvin and Mayhem. Wouldn't it be amazing if I was just in range? Wait a second, I have Fire Group. So if I go and do this, I can go and get an extra nice little shot into Malvin and Mayhem. So I do that. I do my Fire Group. I shoot. I don't cripple anything, but I get some solid damage in there. And then I started realizing, like, wait a second. Am I safe? Because I was a little bit like around 15 inches away. That's got to be safe, right? And I was like, well, okay, he can fly, be speed 7, charge 10, reach of 1, so 11 inches. But he could TK his own model. He could very easily TK Sloan. Oh my God. And I mean, like, even if I made the argument like, hey, buddy, I made a mistake. I'm within 15. Can I just go back to the 16 I could have been? Well, that still doesn't save me, because he could have still come up and done a gallows to me. And still the odds are that he would pull me in the 3 inches needed, and then I'm dead. So I decide that, okay, I'm in trouble here. Mistakes were made. I need to kind of come up here and go and just bubble wrap my caster. So all the jacks here, my reliance had to run in front, and now this is awful. Like now this is going to be a thing where he's going to be coming in here and getting the alpha on me before I even get to shoot. However, as we talked about mistakes, I realized there was an even bigger mistake. Now, I had remembered that Kruger had made me -5 range, but one of the things I didn't notice as I had scrolled through the card before the game was the ability that everything within his command is immune to lightning, meaning that all my guns are going to do nothing if it's not Sloan, because of course he's going to keep all the important stuff within the range. So that's why I'm like, screw it, throw the Firefly in front, kill that, that'll be my throwaway. And I mean, this just went from a game to where like, I feel like I have a good chance, to something where like, no, maybe I can win on clock. I'm just gonna have to get lucky now. I'm gonna have to hope that he kind of like comes into me and I'll be able to smash his jacks and something like that. But yeah, this is now an awful situation, and between me not realizing that one rule on Kruger and putting Sloan up a little bit too far, yeah, this is gonna be a fast game. So on his turn, he comes, first of all, he like TKs away the Firefly, Scythe shoots into it, shoots and destroys it, then hides away. Malvin and Mayhem comes in and like cripples 2 jacks so that one has a Cortex but no arms, and the other one has no Cortex, and even though it has its arms, there's only so much it can do. Everything else kind of like moving up. He doesn't have to even really feat this turn. I mean, he knows I'm going to have to do everything to go into Malvin and Mayhem, and they can go for a big feat turn next turn. But yeah, at least I can get revenge on this one model. So on my turn, that's what I really do. Go up there with Ragman. Ragman does its thing. I go and I smash those jacks. Of course, I'm doing my accumulator thing, going up there, getting all my free focus. So I had lots of focus left, which was a nice feel for Sloan. Savio runs over to contest that zone on the right. Then I decide to get a little bit saucy, and even though my feat's not going to be what a Sloan feat should be, I come over here and I feat and I shoot off the Death Archon. So that's going to keep Savio even safer over there. And yeah, basically I'm like, okay, I'm going to back away from the left side because I don't need to fight that war. This is going to be a feat turn, and it's probably going to hurt. And so it did hurt. He came in there with, he also has those little solos in there that can give him the +2 strength. So those wolves that normally don't hit so hard, they hit okay. So it came in, destroyed one of the already crippled jacks. Kruger comes in, he feats. He also, because he's able to do that with his little guys casting his own spells, the wolves are TKing each other. So the wolf that was up there to destroy a jack and destroy my objective gets TK'd back. So it's not even in threat range anymore. he had moved over with Kruger so that he had pushed Savio out. Like all the ones you see with the tokens on them, those are the ones that were pushed back 3 inches and now will be minus 2 speed. So on this turn, he destroys the objective, he scores the right zone, he scores the middle zone, it's 3-0. I can barely get anything back into the zone. There's not much I can really do, but I'm going to try. And so I basically just do my best to run in. I'm able to shoot down the exiled on the right. So, I mean, Sloane's getting work done. So that's pretty cool. Savio contests. I'm able to get back here into the zone. But, I mean, this really isn't enough, right? He has all these wolves that can TK. Kruger can TK. He can just kill things as well. And so all he needs to do is get Kruger into the left zone and clear out the center zone. And then he wins on scenario. And so between a few TKs and a few punchies, yeah, it's pretty easy to do. He clears out the center zone, Kruger goes for a walk, and he wins on scenario. So, all right, everybody, just hold up. I know you're going to look at this and be like, oh, Brian, your jank is garbage. Get out of here. But no, I honestly, this was like the worst case scenario for this list. I was up against something that was -5 range and immune to lightning. But honestly, I feel that the Reliant is a really powerful jack now that Cygnar players and Infernal players should be considering, because Infernals could be doing the same thing too if they wish. That accumulator is massive for these casters that want to have, focus to do their own things. Even if you said you want to be running this on a different caster, say someone like Siege. Well, Siege has his own spells that he wants to be casting, and if you're not needing to allocate all these things out, you can be doing those cool things on the card, which you don't normally get to do. Again, this is the reason why people love Sloane in Infernals, is because of the accumulator. And now we have a great budget jack that has accumulator and lots of ways we can get synergy automatically with it. I mean, Storm Division, or you can be doing it there in the Infernals as well, can take those Storm Guard, which has a shot, which has the synergies for the +2 damage for electrical, but you could even be doing this in heavy metal or something else like that, and just be having like Savio or something else like that running around to be doing that accumulator and getting that where you need it. So despite the game being here pretty much just like a flop and like I just get my butt kicked, it was really important that I want to share this jank, just not only just like what this list is, but what this jack is. If you are a Cygnar player or an Infernal player, please take a look at the Reliant. It's awesome. Otherwise, that's the game. So thanks for watching. I know this was kind of a silly one. Hopefully you at least enjoyed seeing me getting my butt kicked. If you have any thoughts on the game, or more so on the jank or the Reliant, I'd love to have that conversation down below. But otherwise, we'll catch you later. Bye.